What's happening, everybody? It is Trey here. I'm joined again by my dad, Sean. And today on Reactions to the Classics, we are up to Volume 2 of the Beatles' Past Masters. You can check out Volume 1 review that we did in the link below in the description. We actually are probably more familiar with these tracks than
for sure.
any other Beatles review that we've done thus far. But if this is your first time checking us out on the channel, y'all, we really appreciate it. Here at Reactions to the Classics, we take a look at some of the most classic records of all time and do a detailed track-by-track review. And usually it is the first time we've heard that record. And so if that sounds like something interesting to you, be sure to hit that big red subscribe button. And if you'd like to link up with us more, we have our Facebook group down below, as well as our Patreon if you would like to get some perks yourself and support us. All that to say, we'll dive into this.
Yeah, this was released in March 1988. We're going to do Volume 2 today. We've already done Volume 1, so check that out. This has 15 songs on it. They're from 1965 to 1970. They're A and B sides from the UK is what this one consists of, as well as the Worldwide Fund Across the Universe version that has the animal sounds. That'll take us to the first track, Day Tripper, which I know is McCartney with Lennon.
Yeah, and this was recorded during the Rubber Soul sessions, released as a double A side with We Can Work It Out. Reached #1 in the UK, #5 in the US. This is noted for the electric guitar riff that propels the song and is really the highlight, I think, of the track.
Oh, it most definitely is. This is the first double A-sided single in UK history. There's an interesting story I'll get into in the next song on that. And when asked what it was about, Lennon was like he usually was, a little vague. He said, you know, it's about maybe a weekend hippie, someone working on a ferry boat, but it also could be about LSD.
Yeah, this is a fantastic track. You can start to see the more mature lyrics. She only plays one night stand type of deal. I really enjoyed this, and it just showed how on fire the guys were on their singles during this period.
Yeah, I agree 100%. This is a fantastic way to start this thing, and it goes right into the other side of the double A. We Can Work It Out. This was McCartney and Lennon writing together, which is already very rare at this time in late 1965.
Yeah, Paul kind of wrote the music and a lot of the verses, and then he came together with Lennon and they knocked out the middle 8 together. This has been speculated to be about McCartney's relationship with Jane Asher.
As many were at this time.
Paul's parts are more optimistic that they can work the situation out in their relationship, where John brings a little realism, some pessimism, some might say, into it. You know, life is very short. There is no time for fussing and fighting. Why would we, you know, try to work this out, essentially? I mean, this is one of my favorite Beatles songs of all time. I just love the duality here. One of the highest peaks I think McCartney and Lennon did whenever they were together. And I like how the song just starts right away with try to see it my way.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It just bangs from the millisecond it starts. You know exactly what it is. The double A-sided single is a very interesting story, as it always is with the lads from Liverpool. We Can Work It Out was identified as Martin, McCartney, EMI, the record company. They all felt like this is the A-side, Day Tripper's the B-side. Lennon argued with him. He didn't win that argument at first. EMI came out with a public statement, We Can Work It Out, it's going to be our A-side. 2 days later in the press, Lennon said Day Tripper was going to be the A-side. He painted him into a corner, so they kind of had to do both of them at the same time. And
track 3 on Volume 2 is Paperback Writer, a McCartney track. This was #1 in the US and the UK, released in '66 in that Revolver time frame. Yes. An author is writing in the form of a letter to a book publisher. He needs a job.
And the bass on here by McCartney really stands out. He used a Rickenbacker, which he wasn't using up to this point. This song has such a hook on it, just plays through my head over and over. As good of a 3-song start as I think you could possibly have.
Oh yeah, those harmonies start in right away. We fade just directly in, kind of like We Can Work It Out. Fantastic single to really put forth in that A-side, and just showed how on fire they were. And then that'll take us to the B-side of this, which is Rain.
Yeah, I had never heard Rain, believe it or not.
Yeah, this is the first new track that from this volume that we were hearing.
Yeah, and it's number 463 on the Rolling Stones top 500 songs of all time. Lennon wrote it. Lennon sings it. Could be about an LSD trip, the sun and the rain. Lennon basically said it was about they were in Australia and it rained so much he'd never seen it rain that much anywhere unless it was on a tropical island. And so it was about how people get all upset about weather and that sort of stuff. Who knows, but I know it is fantastic.
The highlight here is Ringo's drumming. He even noted himself it was one of his favorite drumming performances he ever had. This is just straight, thick, psychedelic music.
Yeah, it fits perfectly on Revolver, as you mentioned. Yeah.
Absolutely. This is the first instance of popular music having backwards lyrics towards the end in the coda. Of course, Tomorrow Never Knows would really make that famous on the ending track of Revolver. So I just think that this would have fit perfectly in Revolver. Skip to 68 due to the 67 singles being on Magical Mystery Tour with Lady Madonna. This is a more back to basics approach. You have the 12 bars blues style. The piano is really prevalent and prominent in this track.
Yeah, and the lyrics are about an exhausted woman who deals with stuff each day of the week, except for Saturday, which Paul noted later. He didn't realize he forgot Saturday. This was in competition with Lennon's Across the Universe, and it was chosen. Lennon ends up pulling out Across the Universe as the B-side, which allows Harrison to have his first B-side, which is the next track, The Inner Light. But for this song, I thought it's a good offering. I was very familiar with this song. It's not one of my favorites. There's nothing wrong with it. It's got great musicianship on it. Paul really has a strong vocal on it. It's just, for me, it's okay in comparison to all of these gems.
Yeah, exactly. Compared to all the fantastic McCartney offerings, it's some top competition, and this one doesn't necessarily reach the heights, but it does pack in a lot, and it's 2.5 minutes. I think should be noted for that. And we saw him perform this live, which was pretty neat. And then that'll take us to that B-side, The Inner Light by Harrison. As you mentioned, this is the first B-side he ever had, and this really deals with some of the more Indian transcendental meditation.
Yeah, you can tell 2 seconds in it's a Harrison track.
It has that Indian twang to it, but it's a little more upbeat at points, philosophical as a lot of George's songs were during this time, talking about how the more you know and realize in life and experience, the more you realize there's so much you don't know.
Exactly. And for me, it was really good. I actually like the other Harrison offering on here just a little bit better, but it's George of this period, and he just continues to grow.
That'll take us to McCartney's arguably most famous track.
Yes.
Hey Jude. It was the first release on their Apple label and first Beatles song to be recorded on 8-track at Trident Studios. It was the top-selling single of '68. It's over 7 minutes long, so it's one of the longer singles to ever be put out and reach #1.
Everyone probably knows this by now, but it's about Julian Lennon. He was 5 years old at this time, and John had left Cynthia for Yoko Ono, and Paul decided one day he was going to drive out and visit Cynthia and Julian. He was very close with Julian. So he decided he was going to go see him. He said, hey, they've been with us since 1963. I'm not ready just to throw them out of my life. As he was driving out there, it's about an hour drive for Paul. He said he always turned his radio off and tried to come up with songs. So he actually came up with Hey Jude as he was driving out to see them. It was called Hey Jules at the time. He changed it to Hey Jude. He just thought it sounded better. And it's basically an outlook of, hey, look, you're going through stuff, but don't be sad. Have a positive outlook in this sad situation. John actually liked this song, which it could have went either way on this one, Trey. It's a difficult thing you're writing to my son because I'm leaving his mom, but John took it really, really well and loved this song.
Oh, and I mean, this has got to be one of the obviously most famous Beatles tracks. I think it's fantastic. The na 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 na. It has that sing-along type feel to it, an uplifting mood setter as well. As you mentioned, even in tough times, look for the positive, things in life. And so, yeah, just one of my favorite McCartney tracks for sure.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite songs of all time, and I think it's one of the most famous songs of all time. That brings us to Revolution. Lennon wrote it, Lennon sang it. 3 versions of this thing were recorded. Revolution 1, Revolution 9 are on the White Album. He wanted to release it as a single. Paul was originally he didn't want to get too political at this point. The song's highly political. So he went to him. John's like, no, I want this as a single. So then they went to him. So, well, it's too slow. So This was recorded last but released first of the 3 versions of Revolution. It's definitely faster and got some other little added bells and whistles to it.
Yeah, it has a machine gun-like, fuzz quality to the guitar that
right
just
away
comes right in. And
fantastic.
Oh yeah, I love it. I said on our White Album review that I liked Revolution 1 more than this, but I've changed my tune.
I have too. It's funny, recency has a little bias to it.
I think it's a great rocking number and one of their best tracks from this period.
I agree 100%.
Then we get into the 1969 single Get Back. This was, of course, on Let It Be as well. This has a couple little different things in it, though.
Obviously, part of the famous rooftop performance is performed 3 times, and that's where we get the single. And the 3rd time this particular song was being performed is when the police came to the rooftop because area office workers said it was too loud, which is freaking unbelievable to me, but that's another story. You mentioned a couple of the different things. This single version contains a chamber reverb effect throughout and a coda after a false ending with the lyrics, "Get back, Loretta, your mommy's waiting for you, wearing her high heel shoes and her low neck sweater. Get back home, Loretta." That doesn't appear on the album version. It's very clear on there at the end. It's kind of a funny way to end that thing. It's a really good song.
Oh,
it
yeah.
fits well with the order of songs that they chose on Past Masters.
Yeah, I think that that false ending gave a little unique twist to it. I am a little partial to the album version just because I like how it wraps up the Let It Be album, and it has John on there saying, "I hope we pass the audition." But again, no qualms with this one.
And that brings us to the B-side of Get Back, which is Don't Let Me Down, written by Lennon. It's kind of an anguished love song to Yoko. He sung it. It's with Billy Preston as well. And this one was actually edited off Let It Be. It's back on Let It Be Naked, but it's originally supposed to be there. Fantastic song.
Oh, absolutely. I'd say this is their most sexually driven track.
Yes.
Whenever John sings, "First time that she ever done me, she done me good" type
Yeah,
of.
and then he says, repeats it. So yeah, it definitely is that.
And that's one of the things that just sticks out from that rooftop performance. Full bearded Paul, John up there. That this is a performance that was really famous, obviously, and I definitely think this should have been on the Let It Be album because
For sure.
if it was, it'd be in my top 3 tracks, I think, on that record. And yeah, just a fantastic song through and through. Then we go into the Ballad of John and Yoko. This is a 1969 single, and this tells of his marriage to Yoko. It talks about the bed-in that they had at the Amsterdam hotel.
Yeah, he brought it to Paul, and when Paul first read it, he was taken aback because of Christ being mentioned there, and they're going to crucify me because of the whole "we're bigger than Jesus" controversy, and he saw that and went, I don't know. But he still went ahead and helped John do it, and John was so excited. Ringo and George were both away, one of them filming a movie, one of them away on holiday, and they went and just recorded it, just those two. So it was kind of showing them a little glimpse into the old days, and it actually helped perpetuate the Abbey Road album that they could work together and were ready to do it one more time. So for me, it's a really good song. I'd only ever heard it a few times. It's not one that's spun a lot in the things that I had heard. It's good.
Oh yeah, it really is fantastic. Great, more stripped back type of vocal or instrumentation and arrangement.
Yeah, so the vocals stand out.
And that was something that I appreciated because John does have such a unique and great voice, and that was powerfully on display here. And then that takes us to the B-side of this, another Harrison track, Old Brown Shoe.
Yeah, written by Harrison, sung by Harrison. He gets himself another B-side that later on John said he pushed for to get him that B-side. It was rehearsed during the Let It Be session, but this song, along with Something and All Things Must Pass, Harrison thought that they were being ignored, so he went in and cut solo demos of this song, so I thought that was interesting.
The lads recorded the song formally during the Abbey Road sessions, and Harrison said the lyrical content started as a study in opposite and reflects the duality of things. For Harrison, rather than mere wordplay, the concept of duality appealed on a philosophical level. This stands out for me just because it is so packed full of lyrics. Another great track. George always makes you think more so than I think any other Beatle, just because he grasped at huge, deep concepts that we all tend to think about from time to time. So he did it again here, and I thought it was a great track.
Yeah, and I think the difference in the inner light in this song, just because they were separated by a couple years, is vast musically. I liked both, but I think this is a period where he was really just, blossoming into just a crazy good machine. So it really worked for me.
Then we get the World Wildlife Fund's version of Across the Universe. This was released in '69 on their album No One's Gonna Change Our World, so it came out, of course, before the Let It Be version that everybody became familiar with. This is noted because at the start it has some birds chirping.
Yes.
There's like
it's the Wildlife Fund.
Yeah, there's like a child's chorus in the background as well, and it's not as heavily produced as the Let It Be version. I still think prefer the Let It Be version. The kids choir kind of was a little off-putting to me, just a little bit.
Just a little bit, but John's lyrics are so powerful in this. A fantastic track.
Absolutely, and then that'll take us into Let It Be.
Well, obviously this is written by McCartney, sung by McCartney, number 20 on the Rolling Stones top 500 songs of all time. It is a tremendous track, obviously incredibly famous, one of my favorite songs of all time. It was the final single released before Paul officially departed from the band. The content of this thing, he wrote it about his mother visiting him in a dream during the difficult times of recording the White Album.
We have a couple differentiations here from the Let It Be album version. We have a little bit of orchestral overdubs, and Linda McCartney is actually in some backing vocals here.
Only time ever on a Beatles track.
And we also have the second George Harrison guitar solo that he overdubbed. I prefer the album version just because it includes the fantastic George Harrison solo in there.
I agree with that.
But I mean, it's Let It Be. This version is, of course, fantastic as well. Like You, one of my favorite songs of all time.
And now we come to the final track, You Know My Name, in parentheses, look up the number. It's Lennon and McCartney. And it's weird, Trey. Tell me about this thing.
Yeah, this is a B-side to Let It Be, which is crazy.
It's crazy.
And this was recorded in multiple different sessions from '67 all the way up to '69. And this is kind of in the just almost like music hall-ish, just comedy style. They really came and said that they were just kind of having fun with it.
Yeah, they're just messing around. McCartney said it's one of his favorite songs they ever did just because it harkened him back to a different time. They're having a lot of fun. As you said, it's strange as a song. It's okay. I mean, I don't know. It's just it's weird, and with all these heavy hitters, it's a very strange.
Yeah, it's an interesting way to kind of wrap up the volume 2, but it is
the last one released, so they had to do it that way. But
it is a little funny with he's just like, you know my name, look up my number, this and that. And the fact it was the B-side to Let It Be probably threw some people for a loop, but that'll take us to our favorite tracks. I mean, you could honestly name probably 13 of the 15 songs.
Yeah, I don't even think I can choose. I don't know, man. I mean, they're almost all bangers. It's very difficult.
It's just such a great collection from a period where they were so creatively top of their game, and it produced some of the most famous and popular songs in music history.
Yeah, I think Volume 1, is pretty consistent in the type of music there. And as you said, this one goes from 65 to 70. So the journey you go on over 15 songs is amazing musically and stylistically. It's one of the greatest albums you'll ever put on, especially this Volume 2 part. These 15 offerings, it's unbelievable as you just go from one great thing to the next.
Oh yeah, it's just classic after classic, and it's one that everybody I think should have in their collection. That'll wrap it up from here today. Please comment below, let us know your favorite song from Volume 2, and we will continue on with the solo projects.
We will. Solo projects, way down the line, we'll do the anthology. There's a lot more to come on these boys.
Exactly. So we appreciate y'all sticking around with us.
Yes.
It's been a very fun journey. We now have experienced pretty much everything of note that the Beatles have have produced.
And you know what that means? Ranking the albums and picking the top 100 songs.
man.
Wish us luck, because that's going to be a difficult.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough one. Some debate, I'm sure, is ahead. But thanks y'all so much for watching. Be sure to hit that big red subscribe button if you enjoyed this video. We upload twice a week in a variety of genres. And happy listening, my friends. And we will see you next time.